Hey everybody, Tarun Stevenson here for the Tarun Stevenson Leadership Channel with another leadership tip for you this week. And this week we're looking at honesty. Honesty is an essential trait for being a great leader. And so I'm going to give you 3 ways that you need to make sure that you are dealing in honesty in your leadership. Come on, let's get into it. Okay, here we are. This is the 3 traits on where you need to focus on honesty in your leadership and why it is so essential for you becoming a great leader. Now, before we get into it, don't forget to subscribe to whichever channel that you are watching this on so that you don't miss any episodes. We put them out every week and we'd love for you to stay in tune with that. And also give us a like and a comment if you're enjoying the content, and maybe share it with somebody that you think would also enjoy it. All right, here we go. So 3 reasons why honesty is absolutely essential in leadership and why you need to practice it if you want to be a great leader. And the first area that you need to focus on honesty is in your defining of reality. One of the responsibilities of a leader is to define reality, to be able to help your team and your organization understand the place that you are now, whether it might be your position as far as the goals that you're trying to achieve, whether it might be your financial status or your ability to execute or to achieve some of the goals that you've set for yourself. Defining reality is part of your job, of understanding where you are. And one of the most important places that you need to be honest in is when you talk to your team and your organization about where you're at. There is no point sugarcoating your reality. If your reality or your present state is in a difficult position, or perhaps you're in a position where you are up against some great obstacles, there's no point sugarcoating that or pretending like it doesn't exist or keeping people in the dark, because all that happens is your team will only be able to perform and to operate in terms of what you have shown them. And so if you're not showing them the full picture and you're not being honest about the reality that they are facing, then what's going to happen is that you will only get the results that resemble the reality that they've been given. And so, if you've got some obstacles, if you've got some challenges, if you've got some financial difficulties, then you need to be upfront about that. Even if you are speaking hope for the future, even if you are trying to motivate your team to look towards achieving greater and greater outcomes, you still need to be able to be honest about where they're starting from, because if you know where you're starting from, you can make a much better plan of how you're going to get to where you are going. So that's the first tip, being honest when you're defining reality. The second tip is this: being honest about the future. So if you can see things coming down the path, perhaps there are changes that are coming, perhaps there are challenges that you are facing in the future, or things are heading in a particular trajectory, and they may impact the way in which your team and your organization operate, then it's important that you be upfront about that. If you have to make job cuts, it's better that you talk that through and you be upfront about it, rather than lying about it and saying, no, we don't have to make any job cuts, then turning around and cutting jobs. You've got to really be honest. It doesn't mean that you have to be harsh, or it doesn't mean you have to be insensitive or unempathetic to individuals. It just means that when you're talking with people who need to know what's coming down the pipe, that you be honest enough to tell them where you're at and where you're headed. It's a little bit like defining reality, but it's about things that are coming down that may not be a reality right now, but you sense that they may become a reality. And so you've got to be honest about that, have honest conversations, because when you have honest conversations, you can actually make honest plans to face those challenges in real ways and overcome those obstacles in practical ways that will get you through. And the third thing is you need to be honest when you make mistakes. There is nothing worse than a leader who doesn't own their mistakes, a leader who wants to blame everybody else except taking responsibility for themselves. As the leader, everything else rises and falls on your shoulders, on your ability, on your decisions. And whether you were the person directly responsible for the outcomes or not, you still have to take responsibility for what has happened, and you have to be honest enough to own your mistakes or own your part of it. Don't throw your team under the bus. Don't pretend like you knew nothing about it. As a leader, it's your job to know what's going on, and it's your job to be honest when it doesn't go right. When you're honest, what you will find is that your team will learn to trust you. Your team will trust you and learn to take risks. They will follow you into the unknown because they know you're trustworthy, and they know that even if you get it wrong, you're going to be upfront about that. The other thing about honesty is honesty will get the best out of your team. When you're honest, they're going to give their whole self to what they do. They're not going to hold back. They're not going to be suspicious of your direction. They're not going to be reticent to talk to you when they've made mistakes. And so by modeling honesty, and that's what you're really doing, is you're showing them what honesty looks like, you're going to find your team is more honest with you. And when you've got an honest team, you can actually function better as a leader. So the two things you need to do is you need to model honesty. That means deal in honesty in your own character and the way that you manage your teams, but you also need to maintain honesty. You can't tolerate dishonesty in your team. If you've got team members that are dealing in dishonesty, you need to address it. Don't let it slide. Don't pretend it doesn't happen. And you need to maintain a culture of honesty and truth-telling at whatever level they are working at. All right, I hope that you find that really helpful. That was 3 tips on where honesty is important in leadership, or how to use honesty effectively in leadership. Don't forget to share this with somebody that might benefit, and send me a comment if there's a topic you want me to talk about, or you'd like us to go down a rabbit hole with you on leadership. Then I'm happy to discuss anything you'd like. So just give me a comment and let me know which way we should go. Until next time, I'm Tarun Stevenson for the Tarun Stevenson Leadership Challenge. Hey, if you're listening to us on a podcast, can you give us a review? That would be really helpful to help the algorithm recognize us and put us up in the listing so that other people can hear this. And if you're on YouTube or Facebook, don't forget to share and like, and we look forward to seeing you next time.